Alright guys, the time has come. I've been both looking forward to and dreading this month since April. But anyway, hey guys, what's up? My name is Kaylee. Welcome back to my channel. We are going to go over my August TBR, aka the NEWTs, aka the Readathon that follows the owls that I completed in April, aka the month that is going to be relatively stressful. Let's get into it. Alright, if you remember, or if you're new here, I'll explain that in April I completed the owls for the Magical Readathon. I'll have all the information linked down below that goes over the careers and all of the different classes to take for the careers, and you can find prompts and all that stuff, but it is hosted by G over at the Book Roast, and she puts so much fucking work into this readathon, and it is so much fun. So thank you, G. But I picked a career path that seemed relatively doable back in April. I think I had to read 10 to 12 books, and then it ended up being pretty hard. I did do it though, only to now have the NEWTs, the next level, where it's even harder. So in order for me to complete my career path as a healer, I have to read 10 books. I have to take 5 classes, and I have to get E's in all of them, which means 2 books per class. And what I've done is I've chosen those 10 books, but also to go the extra mile, I have chosen a book for each extra level, which would be an outstanding, an O. So I have 5 additional books that if by some miracle I finish 10 books, I have 5 more that I could read just to be an overachiever. If you know me, I'm not really an overachiever, but I'm definitely a perfectionist and competitive, so we'll see what happens. But let's get into the prompts, as well as what I chose for the prompts. Minimum 10 books. When you see them, you're gonna have to wish me luck or pray for me or whatever you want to do, because it's going to be a month. Luckily my kids go back to school in August, 2 of the 3 of them anyway, so it does free up a little bit of my time. That'll be really nice to have a little extra time to read, so let's get into it. First and foremost, in herbology, I do need to read 2 books. The first being Mandrake. Listen to an audiobook, and if you're not an audiobook fan, you could pick a book with green on the cover. So I looked at Hoopla, and I'll probably end up going with like a thriller, something that's easy to listen to and kind of come in and out of, I guess. So the one that I think that I will get is The Wife Between Us by Greer Hendricks. It's one that I have interest in, but I'm not gunning for, so like if I don't get to it, I do have a much smaller green on the cover option. And that is to read this novella by Neil Gaiman, How the Marquis Got His Coat Back. I have read it before. I think it, if I'm not mistaken, it's related to Neverwhere. It's like a little novella on the side of it. It's been a while since I've read it, but it's green and it's tiny. So if in the end crunch time happens and I'm like not hitting those 10 books, this is kind of my fail-safe, fallback, backup plan, lifeboat, etc. And to get an E in herbology, I need to read a book that is between 350 and 390 pages. And this is a book I will definitely read in August, as I am buddy reading it with my friend Jamie over at Jamie Reads. If you guys have been here a while, you know her. We like to buddy read. She's a great person. Go check out her channel. I'll have her linked down below. But that is A Dirty Job by Christopher Moore, one of my favorite Christopher Moore books. She has recently acquired some Christopher Moore books, and we wanted to buddy read one of my favorites together, so that's what we will be doing. So this is, I believe, just shy of 390 pages. Yeah, 384, so this perfectly fits the prompt. As a reread, I should be able to get through it slightly faster than another new read. I am not a fast reader by any means, and rereading a book doesn't make me read that much faster, honestly, because I like to take in every word. It's how my brain was trained, so wait till we see the rest of these. Now to get an O in herbology, which I do not need to do, but I'm gonna pick books for them anyway, is to read a book with a flower on the cover. So I have Uprooted by Naomi Novik. This is a very tiny text, thick fantasy, so I'm glad that it's a not necessary, but maybe prompt for me. It's like a Russian-inspired folklore about the woods and keeping like a wizard happy. I don't know much more than that, Apparently it is a very controversial book in terms of whether people like it or don't like it, so I can't wait to get to it eventually. I don't honestly believe I'll get to it in August, but it's an option if I do run into it. My next class is Charms, so to get an A in Charms, I need to read a book that has a beautiful cover, one that I find gorgeous, and I decided I'm gonna get to this book because it's also had a lot of controversial ratings, and that is Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan. I love this cover. I love the page ends. I love the red and the Let Them Fear Her. It is literally just, that color red is has always been my favorite color. And I don't know, I read about 30 pages a month or two ago, and then I had a readathon I needed to put it aside for and never went back to it, but I did enjoy what I read. So I kind of have high hopes for it still. Even though a lot of people that I trust and tend to have the same tastes as gave it 2 or 3 stars, I still feel like there's a possibility that I won't hate it. So I'm excited to get to it next month. To get an E in Charms, I have to read a graphic novel / manga / comic, and I am gonna go with Full Metal Alchemist by Hiromu Arakawa? I have never actually looked at the author's name before. This should be a very easy book to get through. I do have like maybe 2 manga options for this whole readathon, which is kind of silly now that I think about it, but that will fit the prompt. I'm glad that it's one that I do have to get to in order to pass my NEWTs, because this is one of those graphic novel or mangas that I've been putting off for a while because I just haven't had the time, and my husband and I own the first 3 sets. This is a 3-volume bind up, so I keep looking at them and wanting to read them, and now I have an excuse. And if I want to go crazy and get an O in Charms, I have to read, the prompt is Spongify, which is softening, so read a paperback book, and I have A Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. It is YA, and it looks really big, but it seems like it would read really fast. The text is very, like, I don't know. I always look at this kind of stuff. This affects how I choose books, honestly. But this is an outlier. This is one of the 5 I don't need to read. There you go. Also, this book is about a town where everyone can hear everyone else's thoughts. No secret is keepable because there's just always noise. The main character, Todd, is like a month before his birthday, and he has a secret that's so bad that it will change the course of his life or something like that, and he has to run for his life. I don't really know, but I do believe it's becoming a movie, so I'd like to read it before the movie becomes a real thing. The next class I have to pass is Defense Against the Dark Arts, so in order to do that, the first prompt for an A is to read a book that is black under the dust jacket, so I'm going to read Nixia by Scott Rankin. It is black under the dust jacket. I've owned this one for a while. I got this copy from Book Outlet in a haul months ago. I haven't bought anything for Book Outlet in a while. It's been sitting on my TBR cart. I think it would be a fast-ish read, so that's basically why I decided on this over other books with black covers. This is sci-fi. It's about a guy that kind of risks it all by leaving Earth in order to get something, and then when he like gets into space, he realizes everybody else on this mission is a broken person that can be molded, and it's like training for it and all that kind of stuff. I don't know, again, it's another book that I've heard mixed reviews on. Everybody seems to love this book, but not so much the rest of the series, if I'm not mistaken. But I follow him on Twitter, and I find him to be kind of an endearing person, so I'm excited to see what the hype is. To get an E in Defense Against the Dark Arts, the E prompt is Gilderoy's Memory Charm, which is to think of the first book that comes to mind off your TBR and read it, and I literally just got this book this month, so it popped into my head, and I'm mad at myself for it because it's a thick one, but it's not that bad because it's YA, and that is Wicked Fox by Kat Cho. I'm really excited to read it. I do have a fascination with Korean culture and mythology, and that's basically what this is. Basically, it's based on the mythology of a 9-tailed fox, which is a Korean mythology story about a 9-tailed fox that sustains itself by eating men. And if that doesn't interest you, then I don't know what would. I've heard really good things about it so far. YA fantasy and I are kind of touch and go lately, so we'll see how I feel about it when I get to it. But it's such a pretty cover, and the hype so far has been pretty good, so. And to get an O in Defense Against the Dark Arts, it is Cornish Pixie, a book that is either set in England or written by an English author. So this gives me an opportunity, if I get around to it, to read The Humans by Matt Haig. This is one of those books that I keep wanting to put on my TBRs and they just don't fit for whatever reason, because I loved the Radleys, so I really expect to love the Humans. This is apparently even funnier. Matt Haig writes dark comedy. I don't really know much more about this book specifically, except that it has to do with math and murder, poetry and peanut butter, and casts a sharp eye on the triumphs and foibles of our weird and wonderful species. I definitely didn't read that right off the blurb in the back. Okay, yes I did. But I'd like to get to it. Of all the 5 books that I don't need to read, if I do finish 10 books, this will be the 11th, hands down. So the 4th class that I have to pass is Potions. To get an A, I need to read Polyjuice, a book that is a friend's favorite. I was struggling with it. I asked on Instagram, but nothing really piqued my interest in the answers, or I'd read some of them before. So Cody at Cody's Book Corner did her suggestions for her Gryffindor novels and said, like, here are the books that if you're my friend and you want to read these could count for yours, and she suggested one that is very short, and Hoopla had it. So that is All My Friends Are Superheroes by Andrew Kaufman. Sounds right up my alley. Love superheroes, love fantasies, love short books and mega readathons. So glad that Hoopla had it, and that will be what I read for my friends' favorites. Next up is House Ingredients. To get an E, I need to read a book that has my house colors on the cover. I, despite my shirt being a Gryffindor colored shirt, am a Hufflepuff, so that means I need to find a yellowy color book for the prompt. So I am going with a book I've owned for a very, very long time. I've seen the movie, so maybe getting through the book will be easier, but that is Silver Linings Playbook by Matthew Quitt. This is the movie tie-in, so I hate the cover, but it is, there's yellow text and there's yellow back. I don't know if the book is like the movie, but the movie, I really loved it. I love Bradley Cooper. Jennifer Lawrence is like one of my top 3 women in Hollywood, so I will obviously be picturing them as I read it, but it's about, like, if you've seen the movie, it's about a guy whose wife leaves him for someone else, and he's kind of trying to cope with that, and also his, like, mental illness, as well as Jennifer Lawrence's character has lost her husband, and they kind of try and get through that, the tragedies of their lives together. I don't know if the book has anything to do with that whatsoever, but we'll find out. And to get an O in Potions, so the book that I won't need to read, but have chosen anyway, is a book that starts with a prologue. I'm kind of stretching here, but that's Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. It's not necessarily a prologue, but like some thrillers have, there's a chapter that's like 2 pages long that kind of gives you a little taste of suspense, and then you go into the story. I think it specifically says now, and then you got a break that says 6 days earlier. So I'm counting it as a prologue because it's not really a chapter. After it says 6 days earlier, it goes into chapter 1. I'm calling that a prologue. I don't really know a whole lot about it. What I do think I know is that it's about a house sitter for a very rich building in Manhattan, and many of the apartments within this building in Manhattan have house sitters at the time, and I think one of them goes missing or is found murdered, and then like there's a whole suspenseful thriller-esque thing about it. This is Riley Sager's newest novel. I've read Final Girls by Riley Sager and loved it. I have not read The Last Time I Lied for whatever reason, because I'll probably like it if I do. But I am looking forward to this. Doubtful I'll get to it now, but it's on the agenda. And the last class is Transfiguration. To get an A in Transfiguration, I need to read a book with queer rep, so LGBTQIA+ rep. Also, this is a tie-in with a read-along that some of my favorite people on Booktube are hosting. Chelsea, Melanie, Madeline, Jane are all hosting in preparation of Liva Bray's latest Diviners novel, a read-along for each individual Diviners novel, and August is the first month in which we start, so the Diviners by Liva Bray does have LGBTQIA+ rep within it, so I figured it's time for a reread. The Diviners is one of my absolute favorite series. The cast is hands down my favorite cast of characters, so well written. It takes place in 1920s. It's about a group of people. Some of them have powers that range from touching objects that give them information from that object to being able to like light fires. There's just so much. I don't want to give away more without spoiling because we are 3 books deep into the series and the 4th is coming out soon. Finally, Jesus, I've been waiting forever, but I can't wait to revisit this whole thing. The book is so well written that when you're done reading it, you start picking up like quotes that would only happen and be relevant in the 1920s. That's how immersed this book can get you. So I can't wait to revisit this. It is quite an undertaking. Some of my favorite ladies reading one of my favorite series. Cool. Can't wait. To get an E in Transfiguration, I have to read a book that is not the first in a series, so I'm giving myself a tiny bit of leeway here and reading my second manga of the month, which is Princess Jellyfish, Volume 4. I don't know why, no, I do know why. I just don't have time to read through the series as fast as I'd like to, but I also like kind of pacing myself, so I'm really excited to get into this. These are I think I'm gonna do the mangas right out the gate, just so I feel real good in August. I talk about this series all the time. Basically, there's a group of girls that aren't really like the normal society standards. They hate women that are like fashionistas and get all dressed up and dolled up. They all have their own specific obsessions, be it with trains or old war or jellyfish. The building they live in is trying to be bought out to put in like a very upscale high-rise, and they're being helped by the Prime Minister's son to help them save their building. And there's a lot that's happened since that. That's just the very, very bone synopsis of the series. I love the characters. It's a little kooky. I always use that word with this book. It's a little kooky, but I really love it. And if you are thinking about checking out Princess Jellyfish, you should really do it because it's a lot of fun. And I feel like it doesn't get a whole lot of hype. And the books are always really, really pretty. I'd like to own the whole thing someday when I have an extra $100-something lying around. So never. And last but not least, if I want to get an O in Transfiguration, which is crazy to me, I have to read a book that's over 500 pages. So I am kind of cheating on this one because I know that a book that I'm currently reading in July will not be finished before the end of July because it is over 500 pages and the text is tiny, because it is a Murakami novel, and that is The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle by Haruki Murakami. I'm only 100 pages in right now. It is July 18th. I'll have the reading rush for a week in the middle. I'm also halfway through The Kingdom of Copper by S.A. Chakraborty, another huge book. So I just don't think I'm gonna get both done. So this will be the extra. If I read a book for an O, I'm kind of cheating, but I also don't need an O in Transfiguration. So hopefully I get to finish it by the end of August. I'm really liking it, and there you go. That's the end of that. I don't know what more I can say. So that is it, guys. It's going to be quite the undertaking. You saw the size of some of those books. I only have 2 mangas in there, no graphic novels, possibly a novella. Can I do it? Yes. I believe I can. Let me know down below, are you guys participating in the NEWTs? Did you pass your owls? How many prompts do you have to fulfill next month? Because 10 feels like a lot, but I know that I think max is like 20. And that's a lot of books. So good luck to anyone who chose. I think it's Cursebreaker or something that is like super, super high up there. I'm really looking forward to it. It's a great challenge. September will definitely have to be like a more chill month because August we're gonna go for it, right? Right. Let me know if you're participating down below. Like if you like this video, subscribe if you are new here and want to see more content from me. I leave all my social media links down below. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram and Goodreads. I hope you're having a great July and that August will be a month full of amazing books for you. Have a good one, guys. Bye.